morning and welcome to Kamara's channel. Today I will be making 3 separate dishes, but 2 casseroles and 2 different dry rub chicken drumsticks. So I'm going to start with the simplest of all, which is the chicken drumsticks. I have 2 normal baking pans. These drumsticks themselves are frozen. They are skinned. They are easier to skin when they are frozen. The skin does not freeze as much as the actual flesh of the chicken drumstick, and it comes off much easier. So they were frozen, they did have skin, they no longer have skin. These are going to be cooked later in the oven. They're going to be baked along with the recipes, the casseroles, excuse me. So for these 2 different rubs, we have Pepper Palace Maple Chipotle Rub. This is made for the Pepper Palace in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So what I'm going to do, how I'm going to apply it, is the chicken is arranged in the pan. Have to loosen up the rub, make sure it freely flows. Otherwise it's going to be a very short lesson. I sprinkle on one side of the chicken. For this one, I'm also going to add some Old Bay seasoning, just because I like Old Bay. The Old Bay is just going to go on one side. So, Old Bay seasoning. Now, as to not get my hands dirty, I'm going to be using tongs. And I'm going to be turning this chicken so I can coat the other side of the chicken with the seasoning as well. Then, again, with the seasoning, apply liberally, depending on how spicy or how flavorful you want it. That one is done. Second one, we particularly like this dry rub seasoning. It's out of Missouri. It is strawberries seasoning. You can look this up. I got this, ordered this online. Strawberry seasoning. This is a big container. You can get small containers to try it out, see if you like it. I was confident I would like it, so I got a big container. Now the same thing here. This one, the more you add, the spicier it gets. All right. Seasoning has been applied. I'm going to cover these with foil at a later time, not at the moment, but cover those with foil, put them in the fridge until it is time for baking. All right, the next casserole I'm going to make is hash potato casserole. Basically, it is shredded potatoes with some sort of a cream base and some cheese, essentially. For this, we will need some sour cream, cream of mushroom soup, some cheddar cheese, and some milk or cream. I choose to use heavy whipping cream because it mixes better, it makes a better product. Whole milk also works just fine. So we start with a can of cream of mushroom soup. As usual, be careful with the lids, they can be extremely sharp. Add liquid, milk or heavy whipping cream. All right, now, time for the sour cream. And there are variations on this recipe, so you can mix and match. You don't have to use the cream, you don't have to use the sour cream. Some recipes call for just the soup and some milk and some cheese. Some don't call for cheese. Experiment, have fun with it, see what works for you. All right, once you get this, stir these ingredients together. At this point, I'm going to add cheese into the mixture. I'm going to stir the cheese in, maybe just a little bit more. I like cheese. Now comes the potatoes. This is a lot more than I actually need, but it's better to have too many than not enough. All right, so we have our more liquidy but creamy mixture with cheese. Take and we pour in our potatoes. This is where you'll know if you need to add more liquids. The potatoes, even though they're frozen, do tend to take up, or it will tell you, it will indicate if you need additional moisture. What you want is for this to be moist but not sopping wet and coated. Because this uses a lot of basic cream, cream itself does not have a lot of salt, a lot of flavor. So you will want to add some salt and pepper. At this time, I'm using pink Himalayan salt, but kosher salt, sea salt are also wonderful options. Iodized salt, regular table salt, also good options. I happen to be using Himalayan pink salt. I'm using a pepper corn medley because you also want some pepper in this thing. I prefer my pepper fresh ground, even though the corns themselves may not be the freshest. Apply liberally, but not too much, considering the salt and spice for a dish depend entirely on the person eating the dish. What is salty to one person is not necessarily salty for another person. So make it happy medium, and people can adjust at the dinner table. I'm going to add a few more potatoes. All right, that looks pretty good. Good consistency of a baking dish. Pyrex 9 by 13 inch. Metric is a conversion I don't want to do right now. Have regular mixing bowl. All you do is you just pour it in. For this, in the 9 by 13 inch dish, you simply want it level. And this is still kind of soupy, but there's still a lot of potatoes, a lot of cheese, so it still works. And this, you can add more cheese if you want. I'm not going to, but you can add more cheese And then this is ready for some foil, and then a little bit of a rest in the fridge. All right, because the ingredients are very similar, I can use the same mixing bowl for the same, or for this upcoming casserole. This is going to fit in a 9-inch square baking pan. This is Pyrex borosilicate glass for those that are scientific in nature. It uses 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. It uses green beans. It says cooked green beans. Cooked is preferred, as in right here, these are from our garden. So I cooked them off. But you need green beans, cream of mushroom soup. You also need some onions, some French fried onions. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start with the sauce. Then you simply stir this together. This recipe also calls for about a tablespoon of soy sauce, so I'm going to guesstimate. There. And the next thing is onions. So this calls for some onions that go into the mix. On the soy sauce, I probably don't want to go too much because that could change the flavor profile of the green bean casserole that I'm making a little too much. So easy on the soy sauce, more milk if you need it. Okay, green bean time. I'm going to be draining these green beans. Opening the can halfway. Tip the can. Same thing can be used for olives, for those that like olives. To drain the fresh cooked green beans, there we go. We have drained fresh green beans. These are warm, which is not ideal because they're going to be cooked later. Ideally, I would cool them down, but it's not going to matter in the grand scheme. It will be okay. Cut green beans. More cut green beans. Fold this together, much like the hashed potato casserole. Get our baking dish. All right. We now have green bean casserole almost ready. For this casserole, we also need to get some of these onions on top, which I'm going to hold off on till I actually go to bake them, because I don't want those getting soggy, too soggy. The ones in here, they're okay. They're going to bake. They're going to get soft anyway. Those ones I want to remain crunchy for the most part after they get put on here. So I'm going to hold off on the remaining French fried onions, but you simply pour some of this over the top before you bake it. Some recipes may have it where you bake it at the very last 10 minutes. So you bake it for 25 minutes, you pull it out, put these on, bake it for another 5. That's probably what I will do in this instance, just so they remain toasty. You want them to remain crunchy and toasted as the final garnish, the finish of the green bean casserole. So there we have chicken with 2 different rubs, skin removed. We have hashed potato casserole. We have green bean casserole. And in here we have a corned beef. Can't get a picture of it right now. My apologies, but it is looking wonderful. This is a home brined corned beef. So I made the brine myself. I took the brisket, cut it up, and brined the brisket. Now it is cooking in the slow cooker until it is time to eat. So there we have it. This is a feast for a special occasion, family coming over from out of state. There we have it. A feast for about 10 people. Hopefully everyone will enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the video. Have fun with cooking, experiment, and never forget to learn from your mistakes, what mistakes may be made. I know I have made mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. Have a good day. Be sure to like and like the channel. And subscribe. That's what it is. Like and subscribe.